Hello friends! It seems that whenever I get into a groove of posting videos, something happens that interrupts that schedule, and this time it was some kind of deadly illness that took residence in my throat. I really don't know what it was, other than it was trying to kill me and didn't allow me to do much of anything but sit in bed and wallow. I am at least now feeling better enough that I could comb my hair in a decent way for this video. Before the bout of sickness, I did a few things that I'm actually pretty proud of. One was a review for Throne of Glass, which anybody who follows me on Twitter knows that I had lots of Twitter feelings about that book, but I finally put it all together in a review, which I will link you to. I also did a review for Fuzzy Nation by John Scalzi, which is the book I enjoyed much more than Throne of Glass, so you can check that out. And finally, something very exciting, I was one of the featured storytellers on One Time Stories. You can follow that link as well. And I encourage you guys to check out that project, especially if you are a creator. So while I was sick, a conversation happened on a largely different section of YouTube with much more popular YouTubers about what YouTube is and why we create content. I believe it started with a YouTuber, Crabsticks, who kind of had an existential crisis about the kind of content he creates and what he wants to create and the disparity between the two. I feel like I cannot comment on a large portion of this conversation because it really has to do with people who have larger audiences and fans and who feel that they owe something to the fans or the fans expect something of them. I can imagine that that kind of thing would create a lot of pressure and would make it difficult for you to change as a person or to grow as a person without people having negative comments because they expect you to fit a certain mold. The other portion of this conversation seems to be about authenticity and big versus little YouTubers. I was sick when all of this started to happen, so I didn't really follow the conversation in a linear way, but I have enough feelings on authenticity and on why we create content that I wanted to give it a go. The internet in all of its glory has pretty much allowed anyone with access a platform. In a lot of ways I feel like this has opened up the world. I mean, I have dear and true friends scattered around the world, and that is mainly because of the internet. At the same time, this kind of opinion spreading means that we break down into all of these different little groups. BookTube is an example of that. We created this community of people over this one common shared thing. Content creation allows for the formation of these little cultures and subcultures and niches, and our first issue comes, I think, when we try to decide which ones are more important or more valuable. Booktubers aren't inherently better than beauty gurus. Skit writers aren't better than social issue champions. So the first thing I would ask of people who are considering YouTube and what we're doing here, what anybody is doing here, is, are you happy with the content that you're creating? If you are making cover videos, but what you really want to be talking about is class and gender in media, put away the ukulele and get to analyzing, or better yet, analyze that stuff with a nice jaunty tune. I hope you get the point, which is that first and foremost, you must find value in the content that you create. More than the whole be yourself thing, I feel like that is the advice that I could give anybody who is starting YouTube or is trying to discover their place on YouTube or rediscover their place on YouTube is, you know, really find the content that you find value in, the content that you want to create, and do that thing. Both the nearly universal platform and the subculture creation that it leads to have really conditioned us to process information about creators in certain ways. As I said, we can't compare apples to oranges, but we can compare how many followers apples have and how many thumbs up oranges have. This seems to be our go-to measure of value. How many subscribers, followers, likes, thumbs up, who is making money off of this? That is the concrete way that we seem to be able to measure success. However, it seems that that has quickly become unpalatable to the community. I think that's especially true for people like myself who go from being audience member to content creator, but is still like the bottom of the totem pole of creation, because I see myself surrounded by my peers who are really creating great content but who don't have the follower numbers. That idea of measuring success by followers is not a good one to me. We all can probably mention people who have way less success than people we consider way less talented. And so we come to this idea of authenticity. I feel like the internet community has become so much more focused on authenticity from its creators. It's funny because from like the early days days of the internet. We've moved from this idea of like you could be anyone on the internet. Someone you're talking to on the internet could be anyone, like a grandpa in the basement. And we've moved to this place where we expect everyone to be their real and true self on the internet. And you guys can tell me if you have a different experience of it, but I see this not only in videos but all over social media. We all have that person that we follow on Facebook that we see their statuses and we're like, that is not your life. You're being fake. You are not out all the time. Or I know you and your husband who you love so much, #blessed, are constantly fighting. Like, so there's a disparity sometimes between what we know a person to be and what they put forth on the internet. And again, that has become so kind of gross to us. We really want the authenticity from people who are posting or creating online anything from statuses to YouTube videos. There doesn't seem to be anything very much worse in the world of content creation than being a tryhard. You gotta do big things, but you gotta look real smooth and easy while accomplishing them. I mean, I will admit that I look for authenticity when I'm looking for new people to subscribe to and to watch, but it's hard to say what that looks like for me, which is kind of my endpoint. That authenticity looks so different to everyone. For instance, I don't like to see people blatantly copy the look or style of big YouTubers, but again, that's tricky. For instance, I'm holding this cup of tea, which I have never done in a video ever. So am I doing that because bigger and more successful YouTubers have done it and found success with holding cups of tea, or am I doing it because my throat is trying to kill me slowly and I've been subsisting on a diet of tea and instant noodles? Authenticity to me personally treads a line of not loving too many things. I'm a jaded and critical soul, so I find a thread of authenticity when I find people who don't love everything, who dislike things. I like to hear balanced opinions, and I love it when other people hate things. However, someone coming to my channel will probably look at this and be like, this can't be real. She cannot actually hate all of these things. I mean, it is authentic, 100% true that I dislike a great many things, but I can see why someone might not believe that that is the case. I guess the point, besides the fact that I still have sick brain and just wanted to ramble at my camera, is that there is no concrete measure or look for authenticity. Some of the advice that new YouTubers get most often is just be yourself. I agree with that a lot, but I also find it interesting that we as content creations shy away from the truth that we are creating for an audience. It's like we have to say that we're making these videos not for the comments or the likes or the subscribers, but just because we're super self-satisfied with the content that we create. That's partly true. As I said, I really am proud of the videos that I create. I don't shelve those videos though. I choose to share them on a platform, which means, hey, I'm looking for an audience. I took a poetry class one year in college and we read a book by Ted Kooser, and I believe it was in that book that he talks about how if you are writing for yourself, you write a grocery list or in a journal or something that nobody will ever see. That is writing for yourself. But that if you are going to publish it anywhere where people can see it, you are now writing for an audience. And that's how I feel about videos. If you were just making videos for yourself and for your own satisfaction, you would keep those to yourself. But as soon as you publish them on a platform, you now have to take into consideration your audience, and there's nothing at all shameful about that. There's nothing shameful about considering what works on YouTube and what doesn't work, what has found success and what has not found success. I think there's nothing at all shameful in wanting feedback or attention, and I don't like when the conversation is framed that way. Like, if you are looking for people to watch your videos and followers, just get off YouTube right now. Of course that's what I'm looking for. If I didn't want anybody to watch these, I wouldn't post them on YouTube. People say don't do these videos for the likes, and I say don't do it solely for the likes. Yes, as I mentioned before, you have to be satisfied with the content you create, and you have to be yourself, but that also goes along with the fact that we are looking for audience. So those kind of three things have to come together. So I would say don't do it solely for the likes, but if you want to, sure, why not? I mean, that might not be lasting motivation, and you might not be here a very long time, but what exactly is it to me if you are here solely for the likes? Reasons to create content, motivations, and endgames are about as diverse as content creators. I just can't agree with people who say that self-satisfaction is the only reason that you're allowed to be on YouTube, and the moment that you start showing interest in gaining followers or building a community around your videos, or if you get happy about subscribers or likes, that you are inauthentic and in it for the wrong reasons. So, my name is Marines. I post on YouTube about books because I freaking love books, but I love love having conversations about books. I post on YouTube because I feel like I have a critical eye that is not often seen in the booktube community. I post on YouTube because I like the content that I create and I'm proud of it and I want to share it with others. I post on YouTube because I like views and comments and likes and subscribers. Now that might not make me so popular in front of people who say you cannot admit that, but that's okay, because this is authentic. And the honest to goodness truth is that I think more people relate to that than are willing to admit it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and hopefully I will see you guys soon. Or better yet, sing about racism on TV. Oh dear God.